Welcome to the B. Andrews Radio Show on this September 19th edition of the B. Andrews Radio Show. It is so good to have you with us. We're glad that you tuned in. Hopefully you're having a great day. It is absolutely gorgeous here in central Wisconsin, and we hope that it is a beautiful day where you are. It is roughly about 74 degrees outside, not a cloud in the sky. Finally, our humidity's gone down, so we're not just sweating all over the place. It is beautiful, and I'm asking myself, what are you doing inside? And we're inside recording. That's what we're doing inside. But I will tell you this, when this is done, we are going out. Getting out of here. But you're listening to the B. Andrews Radio Show. I'm one part of this team of B. Andrews and your co-host for today, Eric. On the other side of the room is our other co-host and member of the B. Andrews Band, John. Say hi, John.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, wow. You're just...
I know. I got some more words in that time.
You're well, I don't even know. Wow. You're in a good mood. You got a smile on your face. It's good to see you. You even sound like you're smiling. I mean, that's really cool. I'm glad. I'm glad you sound so good.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll run with that.
So life.
So today, we had mentioned last week that we are going to be talking about pastors. Last week we talked about youth pastors. This week we're going to talk about pastors, people who are in the ministry of pastoring, those guys who are the head of a church, and people look to them, refer to them with the endearing term of pastor. And although I did have one lady that used to call me pasture, you know,
really?
Oh yeah. Whenever she would refer to me, she would say, "Good morning, pasture." And I
say that's a funny thing to say to a pastor.
I didn't know if she was referring to maybe the way I smelled or my size. I didn't know, but she always referred to me. You know, people would say in the morning when they would see you on Sunday, they would say, "Hello, pastor." "Good morning, pastor." She would just say, "Hello, pastor." And just, that's the way it always came out. That's how she said it.
In love.
And she meant, no, really, she didn't mean anything bad by it. That's just the way she said it. So it's kind of like what people do with our last name from time to time. You know, it's pretty simple. The name is Hambrock, right? Hambrock. It's not that hard. Hambrock. Tell me, young man, how have you heard your last name said?
Hamburger, Hamburg, and it's like that. Those letters aren't even in that name.
Humbug, Hambrick, Humbug.
Well, that was one guy. It always changed. It's kind of impressive. He's very creative.
He was. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking to you about the office of the pastor and his work, some of the things that he does, you know, because there is a misunderstanding of the office. There really is. And what people think that a pastor does, what he is responsible for, all that kind of stuff. So we want to work on clearing that up. It is something I do know a little bit something about. I've been pastoring for 33 years.
You're in the 33rd year of your ministry?
Of ministry, yes. I did start off as a youth pastor. So it has been 20, what has it been? It has been 25 years as a senior solo pastor. So, I've been doing that for 25 years, but 33 years in total ministry, a couple of years in youth ministry prior to youth ministry, and then senior solo pastoring. So I'm getting old.
So if you're following Jesus' example of his ministry, you're just coming out of your dark years. You're just about to hit your stride, right? And
no,
do
that was
miracles
Jesus's
and turn water into wine.
That was Jesus's age when he died was 33, not how many years he'd been ministering.
Oh, so about 3 years ago, then you just started hitting your ministry stride. My goodness, dude, you got time.
That would be about right. Yeah,
you're in your golden absolute prime of your ministry then.
Actually, in a lot of ways, that is true. There are one of the things that I've noticed in studying men in the ministry, men in the pastorate, and the ebb and flow of ministry, usually heading into their 50s, which I'm just on the threshold of that. Heading into their 50s actually begins some of the most fruitful years of their ministry, and that is because, as I've pieced together the information that's involved with that, that is because their families are growing up. They are able to devote more time, more energy to direct ministry, and because they're not divided with their families. That's one particular reason why. The other is just you take that they're able to do more energy and be more ministry minded because their families are growing up and their kids are leaving the home, and you couple that with all the years of experience and mistakes that they have made prior to all that, and it comes together pretty nicely. A lot of guys start developing that real golden time of ministry, real fruitful, impactful, powerful ministry right at the end of their 40s, beginning of their 50s, and about the next 15 years is usually their real come on time. And so yeah, I am
be hitting your stride.
I'm supposed to be. Let's just put it that way.
Talking about funny things said to ministers earlier, the lady that referred to you as a pastor.
Okay, run with that.
Okay. We have a list here. And I wonder if you've heard any of these funny things. It's from TomRainier.com.
Dr. Tom Rainier,
Who
yes.
is Dr. Tom Rainier?
Dr. Tom Rainier teaches at, he's a Southern Baptist, teaches at Southern Baptist University in Louisville, or at least he used to. I've had an opportunity to actually meet Dr. Tom via phone conversation. There were some things that I needed to talk with him about, and he is a really neat, smart guy, and he does a lot with polling information. So he puts together some pretty interesting polls. I've read a couple of books of his. He's a really neat guy. If you're in the pastorate, he's a good guy to follow after. So he has produced what is it that you're looking at? You said a list.
Yes, it is a list of 25 really strange things church members said to pastors. It says, he writes here, if you serve as a pastor or church staff member, there is rarely a boring moment. A few years ago, I began polling pastors and church staff and collecting some really weird things church members said to them. Here is my current top 25. I have modified some to fit into a direct quote, but the essence remains.
All right. Let's see if there's any that he gives that has actually been said to me. There are so many different people in this world that there's enough individuality that I bet there are things that I've heard that will not be on that list. And I would even dare to say that the odds are most of that list has never been said to me, because for as many people as there is out there, can be as many weird sayings as can happen. So, okay, let's do this.
Okay, so
25, right?
25.
All right, here we go.
Number 1, will you bless me divorcing my husband so I can marry a convicted murderer? God told me to do it.
Okay, no, I haven't had that one.
I feel like that's in the extreme.
All right, move on.
Number 2, said to a pastor in his ordination council, what is your view on Christian missions in space?
Okay, never had that one. I'm glad. I would have asked that guy.
Martians,
oh, man.
Martians need to hear the gospel.
I guess they do. Wow. Okay, next.
Okay, number 3. After the church member had surgery, okay? Pastor, will you pray for me to pass gas? That was probably a need.
Actually,
that is a need.
Yes, I have had that one before.
That's a need, though. I mean, that's
important. It is. Yes. People who have digestive, internal surgery like that, things need to move through. And
it's super uncomfortable.
It is super uncomfortable if it doesn't. So, actually, yes, I have had that one. Go ahead.
Okay. Number 4. I want you to come see my display That's that one.
You've read this before?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We'll skip that one. Okay.
No,
Number 5.
no. Please. What is it?
Okay. Number 4. I want you to come see my display of nude art.
I wouldn't even know how to answer that. Well, you do have to kind of be a little.
It's like, well, it's like you're sitting in your church board meeting. Like, why do you never go do pastoral visits
for this guy?
Like, it's not going to happen.
As no,
it's just not going to happen.
Okay, next 5.
Anyway, number 5. During the offertory, Pastor, do you have change for a 20?
Why is the pastor taking offering?
First off, the Lord loves a cheerful giver. Just drop that whole thing in
there.
Yeah,
go ahead,
just
man.
Like, well, what do you need change for?
God can use it more than you can. Absolutely. I got an answer for that one.
That's funny. Number 6, to a worship pastor after the service. Here's the bulletin. I graded each song based on how worshipful it was.
Okay. I graded each song to how worshipful it was.
Yeah, it's not,
you know, I let me just take that bulletin and destroy it. Go ahead. Yeah. Next.
7. Can we put the children's moment back in the bulletin? I know we don't have any children, but the old folks like it.
To that, I would sure we can. Just do not hand the bulletin out until after the sermon, because you know what they're doing, right? They're doodling on all the kids' stuff.
Okay. Number 8. I used to be a warlock. That's okay.
Let me show you where the altar is.
Yes. Yeah. Number 9. Just before
was that service. Hold on. Was that a church member that said that?
Yeah. Yeah, these are all church members.
Oh, I used to be a warlock. Have you been cleansed?
I'm glad he's not anymore.
Well, yeah,
used to. That's in the past tense. That's good.
Uh-huh.
Number 9, just before the service began. Pastor, there's no toilet tissue in the women's restroom.
I have had that one. Yes.
It's like,
yes.
Well, then you should get a woman to change it. Number 10, thank you for shaving your facial hair because the Bible forbids it.
I have had that one.
Number 11, my husband's ashes are in 2 different places. Will Jesus be able to find him?
You know that chorus we sing, God is so good? Yeah, he's just that good. He can find him. No problem. Go ahead.
Number 12, Pastor, help me cut this Coke can. I need an ashtray for the fellowship hall. Wow.
Okay. Now we got to think about that for a second. I've never heard that said, but let's be honest about this. If I'm needing to cut an ashtray, I got sinners in my church. What are we going to do? Well, hey, we're in Wisconsin. You're not allowed to smoke inside a public. Okay,
that's true. You don't
problem solved right there. Problem solved.
It's taken care of.
We're good.
Number 13. In the middle of the service, a woman asks, Pastor, aliens visited me. Is God okay with that?
Do you have a therapist?
Number 14. Pastor, I need you to come get rid of the secret agents spying on me from the attic. From my attic. Sorry, that's not in my job description.
That is not in my job description. No, I can't help. I'm only so good. I can't help you.
That's okay. Number 15. So we got 10 more. Is it okay for me to lie if I ask for forgiveness in advance?
You know, that is a good place for us to contemplate and to think about taking a break.
There's a good... This is a deep theological
This is a very deep theological question. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to take a break right now here on the B. Andrews Radio Show. We're going to think about this. We're going to refill our cups and contemplate what the scriptures may possibly say about this so that we could give a really good answer. We need for you to go do the same and see what the scriptures say. And after we fill our cups, Lord, we'll lift them up, Lord, and partake of what we put in them. You're listening You're listening to the B. Andrews Radio Show. Get something and come on back. We'll talk about the next 16 through 25.
Sing the chord of praise. Well, there's a guy I know, so let's call him Joe, 'cause he's a real good friend. He wants to start a fight when things aren't right in this world that we're living in. So it says to him, Joe, I know that you know that fighting never pays. So instead of a fight when things aren't right, why don't you start with a chord of praise? Na, 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 na. Sing the chord of praise. Na, 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 na. Sing the chord of praise. There is a simple truth that folks don't understand. Everything that happens in our lives comes from God's own hand. Everybody has a choice that they can make every day. You can choose to ignore what comes from God or sing the chord of praise. Now it occurred to me how things might be when this world comes to an end. It won't be long till we're all gone and standing up in heaven, and then we'll have no fear when we get there, 'cause with the angels we will raise to my Lord a song that starts with this chord, a song that starts with the chord of praise. Sing the chord of praise.
Welcome back to the B. Andrews Radio Show. This is Eric, your co-host. On the other side is
John, I got me some Kool-Aid during the break.
some other co-host. You're drinking the Kool-Aid, are you? That's good. We're looking at a list put together by Dr. Tom Rainier. He's a Southern Baptist. And he has a ministry of his own, does a lot of polling ministry and things like that, seeing what's really going on out there. And he has asked pastors to give him weird things that have been said to them. And this is a list of the top 25, I believe.
25.
Okay. And something else, there's, I believe when you were looking this up, you saw more than one list?
Yes. This is one of the 25 of the top 25 weird things said. And then there's two other ones I found that he put together also.
All right. So if you're in for a little church humor, feel free to Google Tom Rainier, weird things that he has heard pastors say, and you will find those lists. They'll come right up. And now we're going to start on we've gone 1 through 15, starting on number 16. So let's wrap this list up. Here we go.
Okay,
see if I've heard or any of these.
Yeah,
let's see. So far, 3. I've actually had 3 of these that have actually been said to me. So 3 out of 15. So I'm bad at math, but 1/5. So that's about 20%. I have actually had said to me. Okay, so let's go.
Okay, it's number 16. Will you come to my house and get my husband off the toilet?
No, that has never been said to me yet.
No.
You should call 911.
That man reigns on the throne of his house.
Yes,
Just leave him alone.
Did he take reading material in with him?
Number 17.
Maybe he doesn't want you in there.
Number 17. Church member. Pastor, will you pray for my son? He's wild and out of control. Pastor. Sure, what's his name? Church member. Maverick.
What's in a name? Have you ever thought about changing his name?
Someone's a Top Gun fan. Yeah. Anyway, number 18. I have the spiritual gift of extortion. Because,
I can use you.
That was listed in Galatians.
Oh.
Fruits are love, joy,
you-
peace, patience, kindness, goodness, extortion.
No, I didn't see it in there.
No, it wasn't
But I
listed.
do believe there is an angel named Lucifer that has just the job position for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, going right along. I tell you what, when they can say things like that to you, it does help get your church a little cleaner because at least you know where it's coming from.
Wow.
Anyway.
Number 19. Preacher, I have some moonshine for your cough. Feel free to stop by my house. Stop by the house.
That's powerful medicine right there.
Cures what ails you.
You know, we've been seeing. I'm looking on your pastoral report, Pastor, and you got one guy you're not seeing up here, and you're really visiting this other guy an awful lot. Yes, we've been working on my healing. Anyway, go on. No, that has never been said to me, by the way.
Okay. Number 20. Will you play George Jones songs in the service today?
No, that has never been said to me.
Look on the bright side. At least that's a super easy question to answer.
Yeah, that's true. Has George Jones written a hymn yet? Well, then I guess not.
Number 21. The guitars sound like two cats mating.
Turn your hearing aid down.
Yes. Yes.
You know that's what that is. People who have those hearing aids, you can hear them whistling across the room, and there's probably a frequency that is setting it off.
That's true. Yeah, they do that really bad.
Poor guy.
Number 22. I want you to know if this church fails, it's not your fault.
Okay, number 4. That has been said to me.
Wow, that's all but encouraging.
Yeah, I didn't know the church was failing. Okay, all right.
But if
go
it
ahead.
does, it's not your
It's
fault.
not my fault.
It's
Yeah.
Some other
Pastor's fault. Yes,
that's not here.
it's the other pastor. It's the unnamed pastor.
Oh, the unnamed pastor.
Yeah.
It's the youth pastor's fault.
Could be.
Number 23. To the pastor in the men's restroom. So, pastors have to go too, huh?
There's an unwritten law in the men's restroom. You don't talk in the men's restroom. You don't.
Number 24. Pastor, I have some extra Vicodin. Would you like some?
Okay, that has never been said to me either.
25. Laugh.
You know that really bothers me. That means people aren't willing to share.
Wow.
Would you share some of your Vicodin with me?
Wow.
Oh, well, anyway.
Number 25, last but not least. Pastor, pray for me. I'm going to Vegas. If you know you need the prayer.
Hold on,
maybe
I
you
got the
shouldn't
prayer
be
right now. He
going.
asked me to pray, dear God, allow him to win and give it all to the church. And if he doesn't, may hailfire fall down on him, because he has promised that he would give it to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
You said amen. It's binding.
That's right. That's right.
But just remember the story of of Ananias and Sapphira. They
See,
promised
you
stuff to God too.
But Pastor, I did. No, you promised. I said you did.
You wanted me to pray for you.
That's how I prayed.
Well, hey, if that bothers you, just don't go.
There you go. I can't help you then after that, can I? That's the only control you
it's
have.
like Isaac. I can't take back my blessing. I already blessed Jacob.
Yeah. I blessed you to go to win in order to raise money for the church.
Yeah, there you go.
And if you don't bring it back, you're cursed, and your only way out of it is not to go.
Well, what do you know?
Wow. Hey, it's a win-win. So these are things that Dr. Tom has gathered and things that he has heard say. Other pastors have written them in, but it is, and I'm sure that you can see that in there, that there are things that people think that is the job of the pastor, and it's not the job of the pastor at all. But because he is the head, and especially in a small church. And so let me qualify what I'm about ready to say and put it all in the sphere of pastoring a small church, and a small church is defined as 100 people or less. And my church runs somewhere in the 60-ish. If everybody showed up, we probably would be in the 70s. That's where we are and under. So here's how many different hats that I wear in a given week. All right.
Okay.
So pastor becomes a spiritual counselor. We all know that. Okay. People call up in the middle of the week, Pastor, I'm dealing with this. Can you shed some light on it for me? What does the Bible say about this? Pastor also becomes a confidant for information people share and become a confessional, if you will. Whether you're in the Catholic Church or other churches, the pastor still shares the confessional. It is a really unique situation where people come and they feel that they need to share and get it off of their chest, and they confess, and it's something that they should do, and the pastor holds that. Pastor becomes a liaison medically. When he goes into the hospital and he does a visit for somebody, they say something. There's a lot of times where the pastor will end up going to the nurses, the doctors, in order that he could be a liaison to the patient. At least I do, but that's because I also have a medical background. There's other times where the pastor may need to do that and talk to the family members. Pastor does grieving counseling. Just today, I was with a former church member, and part of going was to deal with a grieving family. His father had passed away, and we went to the visitation of the funeral. So I did that. That's something I personally did today. Pastor also plays social worker within a given week. Pastor, I have this need in my family. I have this need in my family. I have this need in my family. And so there are times that the pastor gets involved with, could be social work that happens within the congregation. There are times that the pastor should be a lead prayer warrior in a small church. So people are coming to him. It happens to me last week. My phone blew up with prayer requests, emergency prayer requests, and I'm texting out 3 and 4 prayer requests. We had somebody passed away. We had somebody that ended up having stroke-like symptoms that went into the hospital, and sending out and connecting everybody and leading them in prayer in order to take care of that. I am also a youth worker, so that's something extra I take on. Not every particular pastor does.
So those are all things that just come with the mainstay roles of the pastor. That's not even talking about like additional ministries the church might do. What are some of the other ones then that you're involved in? I know we have a food pantry here, and you do stuff for that, right?
Yeah, I'm not the head of the food pantry to relieve some of the pressure, but my wife is, and she has a degree in food and nutrition, and she puts together the food pantry, but I am the guy who signs on the dotted line because in our denomination, I am chief executive officer, and when it comes to having to sign off on that, that's part of my job. And as her husband, I help her go get the stuff to bring it into the food pantry and help to stock it. But at the same time, there's also a ministry opportunity. We do it once a month, and people come through our doors and they have needs, and they meet me, pull me aside, tell me what's going on in their families, do this, that, and the other. And I have an opportunity to pray with them and do that right there. There's our men's ministry. I don't do the men's ministry, but you know what? I want to help out just like the rest of the guys. So I get up at 6 a.m., go over to where the guys are doing the men's ministry, and I help set the table and put the tables up and just talk with the guys and be there as long as that happens. So yeah, those are some of the other hats that I wear. I'm being told by our producer to speed it up because we're heading into break time. So you know what? Let's go ahead and take a break here. And when we come back, we'll go into some of the other jobs that the pastor has. And so go get and refill your cup, and we'll come on back and talk about the role of the pastor in your church. You're listening to the B. Andrews Radio Show, and thanks for listening.
this close, I give up before I go too far. This time I'll let nothing stop me. I'll go until I've got no more. So batten down the hatches, say hello to arms. Going so much further than I've ever been before. Won't be easy, I don't know what's in store. Even if I stand alone, I'm taking on the world. When it comes to this, Lord, I'm something of an expert. I've been on my knees 100 times before. But this time things are so much different. The man that I was, I ain't no more. Well, every time I get this close, I give up before I go too far. But this time I'll let nothing stop me. I'll go until I got no more. So batten down the hatches, say hello to arms. Going so much further than I've ever been before. Won't be easy, I don't know what's in store. Even if I stand alone, I'm taking on the world. So batten down the hatches, say hello to arms. Going so much further than I've ever been before. Won't be easy, don't know what's in store. Even if I stand alone, I'm taking on the world.
Welcome back to the B. Andrews Radio Show. We're just having a conversation concerning the job of the pastor and the things that the pastor does and the many, many hats that he wears. And, you know, some of the other ones that I didn't mention was also the job of the pastor. I teach our membership class. I do the specialty services and put them together, such as the baptismal service that we just had here 4 weeks ago.
Well, on that note, you also go out to do a lot of funerals outside the church, don't you?
It's something that a ministry that I have directly with our local funeral homes, funeral home directors, that if somebody doesn't have a church, I am actually their first go-to guy if the family requests a minister. And it's because I just don't do the funeral service, but I do the grief counseling that goes along with it. So he'll call me and he'll say, I have somebody that has passed away. Would you connect with the family? He gives me the information. And so I, go and interview the family and begin the grief counseling. And again, another part of social work thing that I do. But then there's the spiritual side of it and the healing through the grieving and asking God's help, a part of that.
So there's lots of other ministries that you do outside of the church down here. So you're part of the Clergy Association.
Local Clergy Association, a group of us pastors come together, and we specifically try to do things for 2 times a year. One will be coming up soon, Thanksgiving, and the other one will be, Thanksgiving beginning the Christmas season, and the other will be during the Lent season and Easter. And so we try to participate together as the body of believers in a community for those 2 major things.
More than just the local church.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. Well, you do this podcast.
We do this podcast in order, I don't hide that I'm a pastor or that I pastor the Hancock Wesleyan Church. We do that.
Shameless plug.
It's not. I'm no shame here. So that, people know. Yeah. So that's one.
You also, in part of doing this podcast, it's because we're in a band.
And our band ministry, in fact, just last Friday, you and I, did what we called the 5th quarter concert. It was right here. It was local. The whole point of the 5th quarter concert was after the football game at our local high school in the park right next to it, so that we could promote something that we're going to be doing here nationally. It'll be next week, but we're doing it locally here tomorrow. Is See You at the Pole.
Yep.
And so we did that concert in order to bring light to it and do all that kind of stuff. So do that. I also do a chaplaincy program.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pioneering a chaplaincy program. It's volunteer chaplaincy for the county that I live in. So I'm part of that. And when you get done with doing all those ministries, maybe I have too much irons in the fire, but at some point in time, you're still a dad And I had mentioned earlier about guys' ministry really taking off after kids leave home. Here's the reason why, especially at small churches. But I'm still a dad. We still homeschool one of our kids that's still at home. I also, like to try to have some personal time with my wife. And then somewhere in there, if you're going to, I also try to see to what happens in my worship ministry. And so I try to be involved with the worship team as they do what they do. I mean, I let them do what it is, the things that they want to do, but I still am somewhat involved to have prayer with them and so forth, because the one point of church life that is still the pastor's is what happens on Sunday morning during that worship time. And then somewhere down the line, I need to find time to study so that I can have decent sermons. So finding God's will in order to minister what they need. I still teach a Sunday school class, the adult Bible class on Sunday morning. I've been trying to get somebody else to do that for the longest of times. And somewhere in there, I'd like to fall into bed and go to sleep, or grab a vacation and try to get some days off, which is something last week that we just ran into. We thought maybe we could grab some time and take some time off as a family. I had too many commitments and we couldn't get away, and we had to postpone it and do it at another time. I am not saying that to have everybody out there go, "Aw." What I am saying is I'm an average pastor when it comes to that. Other guys are feeling the exact same weight and heat. And so when it's all said and done, I want you to take time to pray for your pastor, realize the pressure that your pastor is under to try and have a family life, and to try and to minister in the church, and to try and hold everything together, and to try and have a relationship with God himself after he pours himself into everybody else. This is one of the reasons why there's a thing such as burnout in the ministry. I do have a philosophy about that, but we'll talk about that at another time. So we don't want to just end on a down note. I do believe we have some good news.
Good news.
Good news.
I needed to write a song for that, didn't I?
That's right.
Good news. Yeah.
We talked about that. So we need a song for good news. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this portion of our show is brought to you by the Rusty Hook. What did I call him? I forgot now. The Rusty Hook. What is it?
This is the Pseudo sponsor.
Yeah, this is the Pseudo sponsor. Rusty Hook Fishing Tours. That's it. The Rusty Hook Fishing Tours, where they have three, Tim, Jim, and Ed, and with a combined experience of over 300 years. Yes, the motto at the Rusty Hook is, we'll give you an experience that only others can dream of. Anyway, so what's our good news for today?
From our Pseudo sponsors and CBS News. Our good news is... after heartfelt letter, woman steps in to help neighbor in need. Okay, so that really doesn't do much to explain this article. So just listen to this. This is from CBS News. Park Hills, Missouri. For 37-year-old Marlene Brooks, a property manager from Park Hills, Missouri, this story came as a shock. You come home from work and in an instant your whole life changes. That's literally what happened, she said. It was last April when she says a letter arrived. It was such a heartbreaking letter that, even 5 months later, she still has a hard time reading it. Yet, such a heartfelt letter that she still carries it wherever she goes. It says, Miss, ? Would you consider to become my friend? I'm 90 years old, live alone, and all my friends have passed away. I'm so lonesome and scared. Please. I pray for someone. Signed, Wanda Mills. The return address was a house across the street and 2 doors down. A house so quiet, Marlene didn't even think anyone lived there. The next day, I went over there, and she pretty much was kind of shocked that I came over, Marlene said. It was the beginning of what has become a dear friendship. Wanda is now in a nursing home, but Marlene still visits her at least 4 times a week. She brings her kids and husband and all the energy that comes with them. How has it changed Wanda's life? Well, it helps, she said. Marlene says it helps her too. She says she always regretted not spending more time with her grandma, and this feels a lot like redemption. She even started a group called Pen Pals for Seniors to help end the isolation for others. I mean, it could be any of us, and nobody should feel that way, ever, Marlene said. Sounds like she found a calling. Amazing how Wanda just happened to write that letter to the perfect person. What a coincidence. Or not. Somebody sent her, Wanda said. Who sent her? God sent her. That's what Wanda said. Wanda mailed a letter 2 doors down, but seems pretty convinced the reply came from above.
That is pretty awesome. One of the things that we talk about after we do the good news and reiterate it rather frequently is the idea that if you see a need, meet it. Here, it wasn't a need that was seen, it was a request that was brought out. And you know how easy it would have been for it was not Wanda. Wanda was the elderly lady in the story. Marlene. You know how easy it would have been for Marlene to say, my life is busy. I got kids. I can't do that. Yet after she read the letter and went down and investigated, somebody took the time to ask her, please come and be my friend. And she responded by saying yes. And she said yes with pretty much her whole heart. She didn't say, just come see you one time or, maybe. But still, even in the nursing home, still seeing her up to 4 times a week. That's pretty cool. And the other reason is it seems that they have found a friendship with each other. I mean, it doesn't sound unfriendly, right? It's not.
She's really put her heart into it.
Really put her heart into it. But on the other side, this is the other thing that was cool. Wanda was looking for a friend, wrote a letter, and if I remember right, didn't it say, I'm praying for you? Or I pray that you'll do this. Can you go back to that article and find that? What actually?
I pray for someone.
I pray for someone. Okay, in other words, I'm asking God to send me someone. I'm going to put this in my own words. I'm asking God to send me someone. Is that someone you? And she answered it. That is the coolest thing. I mean, I don't know about you. That sounds like a God thing to me, a total God thing to me. So, in the articles, sounds like CBS is trying to downplay the God part there just a little bit.
Hey, but they at least put it in.
They did get it in.
They didn't have to even put that in there, but they did.
I know. What makes me wonder is that the writer probably put it in, and the editor is like, you have to have so much God stuff in here, lighten that up there just a little bit. But nonetheless, it still made it in. And thank you for writing that article.
That's a pretty cool article.
It is a very cool article to make it out into the public sector like that. It's a little buried, and it's buried underneath good news. But we wanted to bring it out to the forefront today and to challenge you. If somebody comes by and they ask for help, I do believe that's one of the things that we're supposed to do is to help them. If somebody comes by and asks for help, I realize we don't all have the resources to help everybody in every which way, but it seems like that Marlene had the ability to answer the way that Wanda needed it, and she had the resources to help. And also, we want to remind you to pray for your pastor. He could really use it. You don't really know the kind of pressure that he may be under. Sometimes pastors don't share what they're going through in a week. People don't realize all the different hats that they wear. You don't know if he's just come back being with somebody who has been ill. You don't know if he's been with somebody who's been grieving. You don't know if he's been trying to explain to somebody the deeper things of God's grace. You don't know if he's just come out of a church financial meeting and they're telling him that we're running behind on offering. You don't know the information that a pastor receives at any given point in time, and he's taken all this in, and it's all in his day. So remember, pray for your pastor. And we're running out of time, so let me tell you, God bless you, and thank you for listening to us here at the B. Andrews Radio Show. We'll see you next Tuesday. So long, everybody.